A little bit of the bubbly. Episode 7, a little bit of the bubbly. Have you seen all that stuff? A little bit of the bubbly?
So many of those.
Have you seen that, Anthony? You know what we're talking about?
No.
A little. Did you finish watching? Did you watch the after stuff too? All
no,
that?
I didn't watch the after or the pre-show. So.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so let's explain it real quick because it's a huge meme, and I end up talking about the title itself if you haven't heard about that. So
I heard about the title getting stolen.
Okay, so after the actual event, like the after show, they went through and they were following Jericho around backstage, and he was just improvising, being himself, and he went into his dressing room, and his whole thing has been like, I need my thank you and all this kind of stuff. So like, oh, what's this? They got his plate of what's this? Is cheap salami. And he puts it in his mouth, and he does that, and he's like, oh, and then they got this, a little bit of the bubbly. So that's what he said. And it's a line from Dumb and Dumber, is what it actually is. He said it. I heard him on his podcast. He's like, yeah, then I used the line from Dumb and Dumber, which is like, he picks out, it's Jim Carrey who picks up the thing he saw, time for a little bit of the bubbly, like that, and that's the way he said it, so that's totally what it was. But he did it there. He did it after the title was stolen. He was in the hot tub. He's like, I'm enjoying a little bit of the bubbly. He said it again, and he just got it over. It's the hottest selling T-shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees right now. In the last 24 hours, the hottest selling T-shirt ever.
The most demanded T-shirt of all time too, or something like that.
Yeah, it's dumb. So
we want the bubbly.
Can I just say real quick that I was going through the shirts that are actually on the AEW website, and I just want to say that Jungle Boy has the best shirts.
Which one does that look like? I don't know if I've seen that one.
There's one of him riding a dinosaur, which is obviously supposed to be Luchasaurus.
Yeah.
Then there was another one, and it's very cartoony looking. There was like two of them, and I'm like, I just thought after looking through all the shirts, I'm like, well, Jungle Boy is the only two shirts I would literally want to buy because they look cool.
Yeah. So the title situation, everybody thought that was a work, but apparently it was legitimate. Did you guys hear what actually happened?
Yes. So apparently after the show, Chris Jericho went and was having dinner at a steakhouse, and it was just a
Longhorn Steakhouse.
That's the one, Longhorn Steakhouse. And someone took the title from where he was. He thought it was in the limo that was sitting out waiting for him, and apparently it wasn't. Somebody had taken it, and it ended up somehow or other on the side of the road. And a man in Florida recovered it. And the great part was the gentleman in Florida thought he found a replica title.
Oh, really? He thought it was a replica?
He thought it was a replica. He went online. He saw some replicas for it. He posted it on Craigslist. And said, hey,
he posted it on Craigslist?
He posted it on Craigslist. Hey, I found a title. He posed with the title on him and said, hey, I found this title. If anybody's missing a title, contact me. So
that's even better than I thought.
That's great, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So, but somehow or another, it ended up back in the hands of the Tallahassee police.
The only way that works is if somebody who recovers it who doesn't watch or doesn't know anything. Because otherwise he would have known that the title had just literally been unveiled.
Yeah, he probably just thought it was like, hey, because those title belts aren't cheap. Even the replica ones.
No, replica ones are well over like $200 or more.
$350, $400 for a replica. This one they were saying was around $26,000, $27,000. The title was.
Yeah, I heard that belt is worth around $30,000. That's what I heard too. That's a lot of money the guy didn't know he had, but I'm sure he'll get something for it. So, all right, let's get into this.
As long as he doesn't get arrested, that's the big thing. Oh, yeah. Real quick before that, I guess Corey Graves took a shot at that too. I didn't realize it till this afternoon.
Oh, he did say something like.
He took a pot shot at Jericho going to the steakhouse after the event.
Wasn't it Drake he'd won the 24/7 title again? And he said something like, "Oh, he's not going to take it to a steakhouse or something like that."
He's going to take the limo, or he's going to hop in the limo and go to a chain steakhouse or something, chain restaurant or something like that.
Yeah. So okay, we'll go over the pre-show like super quick because I wasn't too impressed with the pre-show. The women's battle royal, 21 women. I thought it was messy, Rick. I don't know what you thought. It was kind of like, eh.
That's the nature of a battle royal. Battle royals. It is the nature of a battle royal,
but that was simply put on to put Nyla Rose over and to show Britt Baker as maybe one of the top contenders for stuff. But most of the women that were in that match were in and out like super quick.
But a lot of them was a lot of really good talent.
Yeah, but a lot of them don't work full time for AEW either. So
yeah, I mean a couple of people of note, Jazz, old Jazz from old ECW and WWE. Then I see a former, Tennille Dashwood.
She works for Impact, so that was a big deal.
Right.
But yeah, she was in and out pretty quick. Mercedes Martinez is actually pretty beast. She's done some time in NXT, has done a few shots with WWE, like in, not working there full time, but some of the tournaments and stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool. It was kind of cool they brought her in last, and she was really over. So I wouldn't be surprised if we eventually see her there. Just depends if she wants to make the
Britt Baker seems to be one of their major ladies. She was involved in Double or Nothing in the match. I think she won. I think she was part of she won her match in that, I remember.
Yeah, I think she did. Allie is posed to be a big player. There's a lot of talent there, but you could tell the ones they're trying to push and the ones that were just there to bring in talent and showcase women's wrestling. So I think I said this to Rick earlier in the week when we were at my dad's house. You knew Nyla Rose was going to win. I don't think it's time for her to be the big. I know Rick was talking about wanting to have somebody chase Nyla for the title, but I think it's too quick to put it on her. I think she needs to be like a bigger wrestler. Like it's got to breed a little bit. It can't just all of a sudden, boom, the monster heel has it. So.
Just one more person of note. Besides Awesome Kong, of course. Apparently, that was the debut of Teal Piper, Roddy Piper's daughter.
Yeah, it was. It was the I don't know if it was the first match or like really quick, but yeah, she hasn't been on TV or anything like that yet.
So you would think that would be somebody that they're going to make a big deal about at some point, yeah.
Well, they did make a big deal about it when she came out. That's Roddy Piper's daughter,
right?
Just starting out, so. Maybe we'll see some stuff from her soon. She didn't do a whole lot, but what she did looked good. That's the only problem, because you were going to put Nyla Rose over as that monster heel. People got eliminated super quick, which I wasn't a fan of that. It should have gone on a little bit more. They did for a while. She was outside the ring because they had to give the other women a chance to shine.
Right.
So I didn't even see when OGB got eliminated. It didn't even make the cut. Like I never saw her get eliminated. Actually, we wound it and was like, when did she get eliminated? And then you just see her on the floor, like I think when Mercedes Martinez was coming into the ring.
I did like the spot with the librarians. That was great.
That was okay. So Anthony didn't watch this. The librarians, you know who the librarians are? What they did was she got the female librarian got thrown over the top rope, but her feet never touched the ground. So the male librarian, Peter Avalon, put books down because the rule is the foot has to touch the floor. Mm-hmm. So he made a little walkway for her all the way to the steps so she could get back in the ring. It was pretty unique.
She got a little Kofi action.
Yeah, a little bit, but that's what it was. It was kind of a knock on that, but it was with books. It was funny. I wanted to see what they were. I thought it would be funny if we actually saw what the books were. All right, Rick, any other comments on the women's?
No.
On the battle royal? Okay, like I said, it was entertaining, but I wasn't super impressed. I thought they could have had a little bit more interaction between the women because Nyla Rose, eliminated so many of them. Not that she's not good. I just thought they needed to showcase some of the other ones more. Mm-hmm. Private Party and Angelico, and Jack Evans. I like those two guys. And Angelico and Jack Evans, and Lucha Underground were fantastic.
They both were, yeah. And Private Party, I don't know well, but they're entertaining.
Reminds me of Crime Time.
I could see that.
Reminds me of Crime Time. They're entertaining. They're both athletic. They're going to be one of those teams that gets showcased a lot in the tournament. So
apparently both of those groups are from Lucha Libre AAA worldwide.
And Angelico and Jack Evans totally are, and they were in Lucha Underground, who had connections to AAA.
Right.
And then I don't know, Private Party I've never I've never heard of before this, so I don't really know their history.
I think they are though, because from what I understand, they've done a lot of matches with the Young Bucks this year. Oh, cool. And that was kind of the thing is that's actually going to be one of the matches on the debut episode is Young Bucks versus Private Party.
That's cool. And that's getting closer, man. That's getting
it's really close.
Yeah, like 3 weeks away. Okay, so that's kind of it. Entertaining match. I don't think Angelico and Jack Evans have won yet.
No, they haven't.
So that's, when you're kind of keeping track of everybody's record, it's interesting to see what you do that. And I'll bring that up again later, the track record thing, because I have something to say about it when we get to a later match. The opening match on the main card, though, was SoCal Uncensored against a small boy, a boy, and his dinosaur.
Or the Jurassic Express, depending on what...
The Jurassic Express, yeah.
What graphic or visual or audio you listen to.
No, that was an entertaining match.
I love...
100% entertaining.
I'm a full-on mark for Luchasaurus, man. He's awesome.
You know what? he got made in that match.
Yeah.
He had his moment. He shined in that match. Luchasaurus did.
I get a lot of FBI vibes from them.
What do you mean?
FBI, the group, Full-Blooded Italians from
Yeah, I know who you're talking
ECW.
about.
I get a lot of that vibe from them because they had the couple small guys. Luchasaurus is basically like, what's his name? Chuck Palumbo. Also same with, kind of like, ECW Dudleys where you had big, Dick Dudley, and then of course you had Spike Dudley and things like that. You get that dynamic where you have the big huge guy, and then you got the medium guy and the small guy. It really works for groups like that, and I can see them having the same kind of success if they stay together that those groups had.
Well, I think they made it work, and working against SoCal Uncensored made it even better because those guys know how to work.
Mm-hmm.
So it made him put over, like, you believe that Jungle Boy and Marco Stunt could be doing stuff that would actually, like, stun Christopher Daniels, Frankie, and Scorpio Sky, and then having Luchasaurus come in and do the double choke slams, and at one point he took on all three of them, and it was amazing. And then that jump he did over the and everybody ended up outside at one point.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome.
He took off, he jumped up on the second rope, and then flipped over to the outside onto all of them. It was like, that was pretty cool. He definitely he might have had the pop of the night, actually. Might have had the pop of the night. That's kind of what I think. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Anthony?
No, I was just gonna say if it wasn't that pop, it was definitely something from the Young Bucks match.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure we have a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
Did you catch that moment breaking kayfabe a little bit at the end of the match after the pin? Daniels looked legitimately concerned.
Oh yeah, to Marco? Was it Marco?
I think it was Marco.
Okay, yeah, no, I did notice that. He went up to him and was like checking on him, and then they all shook hands after the stuff and all that.
Yeah.
Because SoCal Uncensored, they're heels, but they're not.
They're just so over no matter where they are. It's one of those things is they have the heel tendencies, but people love
exactly them. Heels, yeah.
Yeah, people love them.
That was cool.
It's a Ric Flair vibe. It's no matter how much you want to hate the guy, you love him too.
Right. The next match was, unless you got anything else to say about that one.
No.
Right. The next match was Pac and Kenny Omega. Now, this match was different than what we were supposed to get because Moxley has a staph infection that apparently I heard is very, very contagious, actually.
And in his elbow, right?
Yeah, and it's super contagious.
Yeah, sounds gross.
It does sound gross. Actually, I heard Chris Jericho on his podcast say that Moxley had sent him pictures of it, and he's all, it's pretty disgusting. It's pretty disgusting.
That's great.
So, I mean, I know he's devastated by not having to do that. I don't know what I think about Pac. I'm not sure he's over with me. He's good, but they call him the bastard, and I kind of think he is. I think I might actually hate his character.
I mean,
Does that make sense?
The name is stupid. He's basically just the same as Angry Neville.
Yeah.
And it's just, it just seems like it's Angry Neville all over again with a stupid name.
Yeah, the angle, the character is still the same. It's I've been burned, I'm better than this, I should be shining, but you can't deny the talent.
Oh no, definitely not.
Yeah.
And it'll be good that obviously they have enough confidence in him to have him step in for Moxley, and that means they'll probably be giving him a lot more work than probably he would have been getting had he stayed with the other show.
Well, the funny thing about that is that once he left WWE, he sat out quite a while. He didn't go anywhere until they finally released him, and then he ended up working for, I think, Dragon Gate?
Yeah.
Dragon Gate in Europe. And the thing is, like, he was the champion and he was undefeated, and he was supposed to wrestle Hangman Page. And, he was basically said, I'm not going to lose to him. I'm not going to do it. I haven't lost since I was here. I'm not going to lose to him all of a sudden. And so they worked out a deal so he wouldn't, the disqualification, kind of finish. And basically, it kind of seemed like he was a bit of a pain in the ass about stuff.
And I felt like they cut ties.
Well, yeah, he didn't want to go.
They did cut ties.
Yeah, they did cut ties. He was supposed to go in, and they ended up cutting ties. I don't know how true this is, but I had heard that when Mox backed out, that they looked to see, like, who can we get? It has to be kind of a big name. They went to him, but they basically begged him, please kind of do this. So you'd imagine part of saying, we really, really please need you to do this. We're gonna put you over. You'll win.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of probably one of the reasons why they got it. But then in the after show, which Anthony already said he didn't see, he confronted Hangman Page and basically was a continuation of what had happened before.
Yeah, because you knew that they were supposed to have a match at Double for Nothing, right?
Yeah.
Double or Nothing.
Right.
It was canceled
I
due
forgot
to
about that.
creative differences.
Yeah, and that's Pac not wanting to lose. Is what it was. Because you're not going to take the guy who was supposed to go and challenge Jericho for the title. He's going to win. It was obvious. Hangman Page is going to win. So instead of doing that, they sent Hangman over to Europe where Pac was champion and said, well, we're going to do this, but the finish is going to be a DQ.
It says he was also supposed to team with Lucha Brothers to face Young Bucks and Kenny Omega at Fyter Fest, but then when tickets were released, he was removed from the lineup.
He's kind of been a pain.
Sounds like he's just Antonio Brown, it sounds like.
He doesn't want to wear the helmet.
Yeah, he doesn't want to wear the helmet.
And he has frostbite.
And he's going to punch Cody.
So, I don't know what they're going to do with him moving forward, but they got him for now.
They want him, is what it seems like. If they gave him that match with Kenny, they let him win, and it wasn't just a here's a pin. It was a Kenny Omega tapped out.
Right, which...
That's a big deal.
I'm perplexed by that for a couple of reasons. One is because they brought him in, and you think, okay, this guy, we need him, we want him, so that's how we get him, because we didn't get him to do it at Double or Nothing. We didn't get it to do it at Fyter Fest. We had to do the DQ finish with Hangman. But then, at the same time, against Kenny Omega hasn't won a singles match in AEW yet. And he's an executive vice president, which is kind of weird to me, too, because I was did I talk to you about this or somebody else? Where I said, it's tough to have those guys be the executive vice presidents because you can't put them over all the time.
Yeah, it was me.
No, but it puts him in the position of getting other people over all the time.
Well, I think that's what they're trying to do. I think they're trying to use Kenny to get other people over.
He's Natalia.
So he can come back and be like, okay, now that I kind of made you guys, now I can take you on. Is what I think they're trying to do.
Yeah, Kenny Omega's never going to look bad. Is the thing.
No, he's not. Whoever he's in there, he's never gonna look bad. But it's surprising he hasn't won a match yet. But I think it is to put other talent over to get to his level, so he can go in and beat them, like eventually, because he's going to be a champion eventually.
Oh yeah, hands down.
So I mean, you
have to figure that they're not worried about that sort of thing because they have an actual show coming up where they'll be doing plenty of wrestling, and right now it's just a chance to get the less known or the more popular people over, and then, once the show gets going, then they can, be able to do their own thing and build up more storylines.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It's just weird to see how it, and again, we're only watching stuff that's been on, like, these pay-per-view type things, and not a weekly show where you have time to build up all this stuff, so it's going to be different when we see it in a month, and it does have some build-up to it. So I'm looking forward to that. I did hear they were irritated, too, by the fact that their match was a little bit shorter than they wanted it. And it clocked in, according to Wikipedia, at 23 minutes. And it was still a little bit shorter than they wanted it to be. Because the other matches earlier in the card went a little longer than they were supposed to. And it was interesting that it was so early in the card, too.
Yeah.
I mean, according to Wikipedia, it's the second longest match on the card. So I don't know why they would, what complaint they would possibly have.
Oh, but Kenny Omega's known for going the hour.
Well.
The hour plus, so.
I mean, they went...
20 minutes is barely breathing hard.
I mean, they still went longer than the Young Bucks match, and we saw what they did in that amount of time.
Yeah. We'll get
that was only 21 minutes, so
we'll get to that in a couple of minutes.
Side note to this as we wrap up: the Kenny Omega Jon Moxley match is supposed to be on their November pay-per-view.
Is it? Yeah. Where did I hear that? I heard that somewhere.
I would have thought it would have been obvious that they would have re-upped that match, but...
Oh, yeah, that match is going to happen.
I mean, now they'll be able to put some more storyline into it because they'll be able to get it into the show.
Yeah.
I haven't watched all the online stuff, but apparently the videos leading up to it, Kenny Omega was he was acting pretty pissed that it wasn't going to happen, and this isn't over type thing, just because you can't do this isn't over. Actually, they showed a piece of it in the pre-show where he was talking about Moxley, and then somebody came in and said, "Hey, Kenny, John's not on the show anymore. He's hurt." And he's like, "What?" He kind of reacted to it and was like, "Hold on, let me see what's going on," and walked off set, something like that. Interesting stuff, and they use social media in a fantastic way. I think WWE is too, actually, but they're starting to catch on to that.
You have to this day and age.
Yeah, the Cracker Barrel Clash.
You knew this was going to be a brutal match.
Looking at the three guys in it, yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite parts of this match was, and I want to say it was Jimmy Havoc, when the barrels first started getting used, Jimmy dragged the barrel down to the ringside area. He made it look like it was the heaviest thing on the planet.
Yeah, he
And then
did. I commented on that too. I was like, dang, that thing looked heavy. And then when he just picked it up like it was nothing, I was like, wait.
Yeah, and then Janela didn't sell it at all. Like, Havoc was selling the weight of the barrel, and then Janela picked it up like nothing.
Right. But then,
So-
when the second barrel was used, they actually made it look like there was a little bit more weight to it. I don't remember
Yeah.
who that was, but
Interesting
they
that you guys
sold it
say
a little
that.
bit better.
Interesting you guys say that because I was listening, again, Jericho, if you haven't listened to his latest episode, talked about the behind the scenes stuff at All Out. And so he was saying, like, when he saw that. He didn't watch all the matches because obviously he's backstage doing stuff. He's like, but I saw that match and I saw them with the barrel. And he's like, and I noticed how when they carried it, he's like, it was actually a lot lighter than the one that when he had a match, the Cracker Barrel, when he tried to move it, he's like, it was legitimately heavy and I could barely get it over the stuff. These guys, well, obviously it wasn't that heavy if Darby picked it up, took it to the top rope and splashed down under the steps with it.
Yeah.
Which, man, that was a cool spot, and so was the skateboard.
The skateboard was so great.
Oh, you know what might have been better than the skateboard? When Joey Janela got that flip on the chair and he landed on the chair. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yes. They
Where he
did
got
the...
was it a monkey
the-
flip? I don't even know what it was. A destroyer? I can't remember what
Yes.
the move was, but Jimmy
It was
Havoc did it on
either
him.
Destroyer or Rana.
Yeah, something like that. And he just, did you see that, Anthony? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't really know how to describe it. You guys are doing just fine. That whole match was just insane to me, and it really took me back, and I was just I kept expecting New Jack to come out of the crowd, but because it definitely took me back to a lot of his matches where he'd come down to the ring with the trash can full of stuff or the shopping cart.
Yeah.
But when he taped his mouth with the thumbtacks. And then later on, when he got the thumbtacks, on the skateboard that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Okay, how many thumbtacks do you think he had in his mouth?
It
It wasn't a mouthful. It was definitely a couple, but did they really sit there that long? It's just, that's weird to me how somebody could, because I think if I have something, if I put a screw in my mouth because I'm, working on something, like my mouth starts to salivate and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, how long did he have that in there?
Get that swallow reflex.
Yeah, you do. You get that swallow reflex. Yeah, and he had it taped. Ugh, that part I think bugged me more than anything. Even the tacks with the skateboard, I'm like, it was a cool looking move, but you really think like, okay, as weird as it sounds, most of what they did, I mean, I wouldn't want to do, but most of it, for the most part, they made it as safe as it could be.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like, of course you knew when Darby took that thing up there, like, he's not going to hit Jimmy Havoc with that thing. But, it's wood, so he's gonna break it, and it's gonna absorb some of the blow. So, I don't know. Wow. You know what was funny? The paper cuts.
Oh, that was great.
You mean the paper cuts with the laminated paper?
Yeah,
with the obviously laminated paper.
Well, what have you had? Because you can get a paper cut from that, and they hurt.
It's true.
I
true.
I have.
It was
I was like,
hilarious.
He grabbed his hand and separated. I'm like, what is he doing? And I was like, oh. But honestly, you could tell he didn't really do it. Like, the camera actually caught it where it was like, okay, he really didn't do that. But, like, just the thought of it was like, that's freaking funny.
And Golden Boy and Excalibur selling it was great.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, oh, I've had a paper cut like that before. They hurt. It was fair. They did it on his mouth. That was funny, too.
Yeah, he did it.
When
He did it at
opened
the
his
corners of
mouth,
the mouth. Oh my gosh.
Oh, man. I'm going to have to go watch that match again. That was fun.
He's like, do you want to know how I got these cuts?
Right.
Dude, I got the scars.
A laminated AEW sign. That was pretty funny. I'm going to go watch that match again. That was actually pretty fun.
That was a really fun match. It was probably
Yeah.
my third favorite match of the night.
Yeah, well, I know what the favorite's going to be, but that was good. I think we hit all the spots. Any other spot that stood out? I think it's got a couple of staples to the head.
No, just we were talking about the barrels. Like we commented, the selling of the second barrel, the Havoc's acid rainmaker through the barrel.
Yeah.
That the crushing of the barrel looked much better than the barrel that smashed through the steps. And I think that barrel, the one that got crushed through the steps, the one that he made look like it weighed like a feather, I think that one was missing a bottom on it.
Yeah,
Whereas
one of
the
them
metal
was.
part.
Yeah, whereas the other one actually had both ends. So that's why it crushed a little bit nicer looking.
I didn't notice that. That's
Yeah.
kinda
I did
interesting.
notice one of them didn't have a bottom.
Yeah.
That had to be the gimmicked one that was going to break a little bit easier because of what he was doing.
Right. Yeah, that was the one that was going to be on the steps.
And you would think because of what he was doing, less chance of him getting cut by that too.
Exactly. Because,
Okay.
you still get some splinters from...
Yeah, that's probably the worst part. Is all the splinters. All right, anything else?
No, just shout out to
Not
Cracker
on that
Barrel.
I've never eaten there, and now that you got one close to you,
I know,
guys
we gotta
out
go.
there
We
now.
gotta make a trek over to the one by Diggs' house.
Over by Diggs, yeah,
Yeah.
on Rialto. The Dark Order and the Best Friends. I'm not feeling the Dark Order, man. I'm just not.
What's his name? It's supposed to be pretty decent.
Evil Uno?
Dark Uno. Dark Uno.
Well, Evil Uno now.
Evil Uno, yeah.
Yeah.
But I know he's done a lot of stuff with, Pro Wrestling Gorilla? PWG?
Maybe, but I'm not feeling it.
Yes. Sorry, I'm looking at
And he's-
Wikipedia.
No problem.
Yeah. He's supposed to be pretty over with that stuff. I don't know him well enough to be like, yeah, like a lot of people are. You know, they've already had to kind of go through things because their original tag team name was the Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, well, looking at it, and I know Anthony was looking at his Wikipedia page, and I am too, and it says he got over for making his gimmicks and his moveset and his attire based on Nintendo games.
Yeah, this says
Is what it is.
specifically Mario, Luigi, and Mario. There's even his picture looks like he's like a clown or something.
I mean, they're good, but I don't think they're over. I'm not feeling it. I don't know. Like, there should be a reason why they're the Dark Order, and maybe we'll get that on the TV show. You know, a little bit of that. Because part of the reason, I guess, what I'm thinking is that these guys have history, but not everybody knows it because of where they were wrestling before. If it's not televised, then you have no basis for knowing any of their backstory. And that has to be done. Because why, I mean, okay, his thing, he's obviously got the mask that looks like the bullet from Nintendo. And then you got the minions with him, the guys that, sit down for him to sit on or whatever. But Stu Grayson is like the total opposite of that. Doesn't he wear a kilt?
Yeah, some sort of battle.
Yeah, some sort of battle kilt or
Yeah.
something. So I don't know how that fits in.
This says that he used to come out with tights which had a pocket fashioned around an NES controller on one side, and if you put a Karate Kid game cartridge into the slot, he would start doing game-related mannerisms.
Okay. So maybe it's just that we haven't seen this yet. So
It just says in
hopefully-
recent years he switched to regular tights, but I mean, I could see that they wouldn't want to do definitely that kind of dress-up thing because they don't want to get too much
You don't get
comparisons
sued.
like ICP or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to look like nobody ever wants to look like they're trying to be like ICP. So
Hey, easy there, man. I kind of like ICP. So,
yeah, but
no,
we only need one ICP.
That's true. That's
Yes.
actually that's actually very true.
Speaking
because
of one, I mean, best
wannabes
friends.
are not
Best friends. Can I just say they remind me too much of Billy and Chuck?
I think that's kind of what
Right
it's
down
meant
to the
be.
fact that one of them is named
His
Chuck.
name Chuck. Yeah. Chucky T. Well, they're a little bit more entertaining. because
Well,
of
yeah,
that
no,
whole
I
thing.
agree with that. Yeah,
Everybody waits for the hug and all that.
right.
But I mean, the match was good.
They're like if Billy and Chuck was just Billy and Billy.
So I mean, I guess that whole match was made at the end when you got the debut of Orange Cassidy. I don't know.
Which is who?
Orange Cassidy?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even have a Wikipedia page.
No, and I know very little about him. Very little about him. There is a YouTube video that you can go and watch where I think it's him. He kind of explains the character a little bit, and it's just funny to me how he's super over, and you watch him kick, and he just kind of like barely does it. Notice like it took talent for number one for him to like jump through the ropes when he had his hand in his pockets.
Oh, absolutely. I just feel like that we were supposed to know who he was.
Okay, so you want to hear something? Okay, so I listened to Conan's podcast too, and that's what they were saying. Like, I remember this. They said it, and I did remember when it happened. Jim Ross kind of like was like, "Who's this guy?" And they said, "Oh, that's Orange Cassidy." Blah, blah, blah. He set them up for them to be like, "Hey, that's Orange Cassidy. He's this." Blah blah blah, blah. And they didn't do it. Like to give an explanation to who he was. 'Cause
That's
he hasn't
weird.
been seen there yet, and the guys didn't take the cue. So it was like, oh
Yeah, because
okay.
I just feel like we were supposed to know who he was. Similar to, and it's funny that you mentioned Conan because in my Wikipedia, Obviously, we'll get to the aftermath of the Young Bucks match and the appearance at the end, which relates to Conan.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, though I feel like people know who they were.
Oh yeah, people know them because they've been on national TV or over somebody.
As opposed to this guy, which they acted almost the same with him. Like they had the same kind of reaction, like as if we were supposed to know who he was. But obviously,
he was in the Casino Battle Royal at Double or Nothing.
Okay,
and he's known for he did stunts with SCU and Chris Daniels, and he's known for his shtick. Part of his gimmick is that super slow everything where I'm basically chopping you, but I'm just barely takes me 5 seconds to kind of hit you.
Yeah, didn't he kick Tommy Dreamer in that match and barely touch his shins?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
that's what he does, and then suddenly you piss him off, and that's when he kind of hulks out and does regular speed and gets into that. But that's kind of sick.
I mean, I definitely liked the whole doing everything with the hands in the pockets. It's very arrogant and very something like Batman would do, or something like that. It's very the arrogance is definitely there, but also confidence.
Well, they made a big deal about the fact that when he showed up, when the lights went off and they popped up, they came back on, and he was standing in the middle of the ring, and he kind of looked over at the guys, and next thing you know, he actually ran the ropes, and they're like, "Oh, they got him running," you know what I mean? This guy doesn't do that. So all of a sudden, it's an interesting character.
Right.
And then Jericho talked about him too, and what Jericho said was he's like, I got a lot of respect for a guy that can get a character like that over, because that takes talent. It takes talent to get something like that, a gimmick like that over. So I'm looking forward to watching what he does. But I've heard that too, Rick, that he's slow like that until he gets mad, in quotation marks, and then turns it on like the regular wrestling style. I thought that the match was good, but I think it was made at the end when he appeared, and everybody went crazy for that. So,
and the hug, the triple hug.
Yes, the triple hug. Where he didn't move. He still had his hands in his pocket. They kind of hugged him. The ladies' match.
This was my second favorite match.
So let me know what you think, because, I'm all for it, man.
The match was amazing. Just what I would have expected out of them after seeing their performance in that the big tag match and stuff at Double or Nothing. They put on, the two of them put it on. Riho is just very, very talented. She reminds me of, I think I said last time, she reminds me of, she has a lot of that same energy as Kairi Sane.
Yeah,
I can see that.
She's just small. Yeah,
she's very, very small, and I'm going to be interested to see how they play up the whole. Obviously they were already setting up throughout the whole entire match, the whole Nyla Rose thing about how Riho had faced her and beat her. So they were basically telegraphing that she was going to win that match in a way, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely got a payoff, and it definitely has a lot of setup. And I could definitely see Riho winning that match against Nyla Rose, and then just turning around and Nyla Rose just destroying her the next time they face.
That's how I would book that. Because I think you give the first one to. Now I have some different thoughts about this for the men's title, but I think you do that for the women's title. You give it to the kind of the fan favorite, and then you do have, the Monster Heel kind of beat it and have a nice little run, and people, going for Nyla, because you got to destroy some people to get
right.
Because they have a lot of face women in Riho, obviously, in Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Allie. You got a lot of face talent. But it's weird, though. Not that Nyla Rose is necessarily a heel, because she's over, too. But
she's extremely over.
She has those heel tendencies, just because she is such a beast.
And I see it. I'm not trying to pigeonhole or anything like that, but if I can see Nyla Rose taking the championship on that idea that it's another first. And that seems to be what AEW is pushing right now, is a lot of these firsts.
Oh, yeah, the first transgender, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem with once Nyla Rose has the belt, then eventually it's predictable that you're going to end up with the matchup versus Awesome Kong.
Yeah, which is okay, because you have seen Awesome Kong. We obviously know her history. She could be beat. The whole deal with Gail Kim when they were in TNA at the time, or as long as they don't do to Nyla what they've done to Braun Strowman, which is make her unbeatable, then you can get away with a lot, but she's got to be beatable.
Well, that's why you
how
have
many times have I said this on this podcast? I feel like every episode I say
Many
this.
times,
Right.
yeah.
Which is why it totally works for Riho to beat her again and win the belt. But do you really think they'll do that?
I could see it going either way, really.
I mean, if this was WWE, I would say absolutely not.
Right.
But with AEW, I feel like anything's possible.
Well, Rick brought up a good point, is to say let's make her the thing because she's transgender, and
Right.
everything. Like we'll get to that in a little bit. With the first, with what's her name? Oh man, Aubrey Edwards, the referee for the main event. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But I could see how they would do it strictly based kind of on that, and then, well, not denying her talent, but like, hey, look, like we can give you this too. So either way, I think it's win-win either way because they're both talented and there's plenty you can do with them as long as they don't pigeonhole her into that like she's this monster heel that can't be beaten thing and you can't do anything with it. So
Right.
I do
want to see her with Awesome Kong down the road, but I don't want the title involved in that. That needs to be just a battle of Goliaths.
You don't need a title for that.
Exactly.
You just got two big ladies who are going to go at it the same way you'd get two big guys facing each other. So.
Same way that the only way we should have gotten Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman should have been just a match.
Right. It doesn't need to be for the title.
No.
Or heck, even when you see Big Show against Braun Strowman, I know they're still fun matches because they're these two beasts.
Right.
Actually, if you remember their first meeting, which was maybe on SmackDown, they were wrestling. They weren't doing these big power moves. They were wrestling. It was the first time I noticed that, hey, Braun Strowman can actually wrestle. Like, not just be this guy. Nope, he was doing, arm drags, and they were doing arm drags to each other and different stuff, and it was like, whoa, these guys are actually wrestling, which you didn't expect to see. You expected to see two guys kind of go at it, but it was like, no, they decided to put on a wrestling match, which was great. I like when they do that. The next match, Shawn Spears, almost by accident, there's your main heel. He got made in that match. That's what I think.
And then you give him Tully Blanchard.
Yeah. You give a guy who... That match was more important than any match he ever had when he was in WWE.
Hands down.
I have a question. How is he still able to keep the whole Perfect 10 thing?
Was that his?
Well, I don't know if it was his or not. I mean, I just always assume that when they use a gimmick in WWE that it's WWE's gimmick. Because
Unless it wasn't trademarked, he trademarked it.
I don't know. I mean, it has to be something like that because otherwise it's the first time I've ever seen anybody using a gimmick that was used in WWE someplace else.
Yeah.
I believe it's slightly modified. If you look at it like his tights and things, they don't say Perfect 10, they say Perfection. And the I and the O are a 10.
Right.
So it's Perfection.
It's a 20% difference that means you can't be sued.
Yes.
Right.
It's like Luke Gallows and Doc Gallows,
Okay. I mean, it
so
makes sense.
It's just enough.
He hasn't gone out there and actually done the 10 thing. People have done it to him when you think about it. I don't remember him ever doing it, but I remember who did it? Somebody did it to him. Who has he faced so far?
I think it was during the Double or Nothing Battle Royal.
It was the tag match. No, it was the tag match with MJF and whoever. So I think it might have been MJF, because how they kind of argued that side of the team.
Yeah.
They looked at him and they just all of a sudden put up 10 fingers and it was like, oh, get at him. You know what I mean? Because it's like, and that's smart when you think about it. Because it was like, no, he can't really call himself the perfect 10, but you can't really stop somebody else from just putting up 10 fingers at him and saying like, oh, this is what you are.
Yep.
Smart. I never thought about that. I like it. But yeah, best match he's had in the entire... And he's had some good matches, but that made him. That match right there made him. And he is the poised, I think, to be the company's top heel. Especially right now because he attacked Cody, who's so over with the fans. Almost by accident.
Yeah. It was a good match. Everybody knows where this is going with MJF, though. That's not MJF's character at all.
No. Okay. Did you catch that part? And I think I mentioned this to you the other day.
You mentioned it to me.
Yeah, where he had did you notice that, Anthony? After the match, when MJF came into the ring after Cody had won, MJF ended up with a chair, and he had it, held it down at his side. He looked at the chair, and he looked at Cody, and the camera clearly caught it, and then he looked back at whatever he was looking at.
Yeah, no, I 100% thought he was going to hit Cody with the chair.
Everybody did, and I think that was intended. 100% that was intended. So MJF is an interesting character because when you hear interviews with him, a lot of times he's in character. He'll tell you about his life and true stories and stuff, but a lot of time he's in character.
Mm-hmm.
So like, cause he by far, everybody knows that guy's the future. He just needs more. He needs more experience because he's only been in the business a few years. But everybody knows he is the future. He's got it. Is what he has. He has that charisma.
Like Jericho's it, or just it?
Like Jericho's it. This kid is going to be a long-lasting. Yeah. This kid's.
He got it. He got it.
Kid. Yeah, I did. I got your joke. But it's coming down the line that he's going to feud with Cody. But he does legitimately feel Cody is his best friend. Like he really does think that because I've heard him on several interviews where he has said that, and it was interesting that he chose due to limitations too, that Cody chose MJF to be down there instead of his wife or DDP. I thought that was like pretty interesting that he chose that because and this was made mention too by the commentators. He's never really been that second, so they played up how like Tully Blanchard knows where he's supposed to be to do this. MJF doesn't, because there was a few times where MJF distracted the referee and allowed the other guys to do something, to cheat in some form or fashion. So like it played up like the inexperience of it all and like the emotion behind it. I thought it was done really well.
Can we just talk about the dog who wanted nothing to do with any of that?
Yes.
The dog wanted nothing but just to get backstage.
Did you catch that, Rick?
Yeah, very briefly. That's when MJF took over, right?
No. So when so do you know how the backstage it was I couldn't remember the name. Brandy was walking down the hallway and then they met up with the other two.
Yeah.
When they came through the tunnel and the pyro went off for Cody, the dog wanted to turn around. He did not want to be out there. The pyro scared.
Yeah. From the moment from the moment the pyro went off in the tunnel to all the way when she had the dog out on the ramp. The dog was wanting to turn around, and they're trying to get the dog to face forward to look good.
By the time they got down to the bottom of the ramp, MJF had the dog. By the time they got to the bottom of the ramp, MJF was holding the dog.
Probably because Brandy couldn't hold the dog anymore.
And that's how I caught it. The pyro go off.
They had started holding the dog in the tunnel.
Yeah, in the tunnel is when everything started.
Yeah, trying to get him to go, and by the time they got to the bottom, it was MJF with the dog, but that all of that was unintentional. It really was the dog is scared. Let's calm the dog down.
Right.
And if you look at DDP, he's kind of freaking out looking at the dog. Like, is this dog going to do something crazy?
Am I going to
just for a moment? Yeah, just for a moment, he looks at the dog and a concerned look on his face.
Yeah. Now, personally, I was not a fan of this ending. I think if you've got someone that's hot as a heel right now in your first time matching up with this person, you should take the loss.
No, not sure I agree. Not sure I agree with that.
I think Cody should have taken the loss there, even if it was a screwy victory. Cody should have taken the loss to extend this feud.
Maybe if it was
at this point, there's no need to extend it.
No, I think you have Shawn Spears with Tully Blanchard do something back to Cody, because now Tully Blanchard has a reason to because of Arn Anderson. Mm-hmm. You get Arn Anderson involved. Not that Arn Anderson is going to wrestle; he's not. But there's going to be some words exchanged there, and you're going to see Shawn Spears do something else. Like this isn't over. If you'd have put him over clean, if Shawn Spears would have beat Cody clean, then it would have been like, okay, there's no point to this. At this point, you still have to build Shawn Spears because he's coming in. Everybody knows he was Ty Dillinger. He wasn't doing much, but he needs to take those couple of losses. So when he does win, it's a big deal, and he already has a lot of heat and steam behind him. I think when you do that, that's kind of why. I think that's why they did that. You got to put Cody. Cody hasn't lost. The same thing with Kenny Omega. It's the opposite of Kenny Omega, actually. Cody hasn't lost yet. Darby Allin was a draw. Cody hasn't lost yet. He will, but when he does lose, it's going to be big, and it's going to be against Shawn Spears. You need that TV time to, like we were talking about before. You need TV time to build it up. So at the next build one that has some TV, the next big pay-per-view that has some TV time built behind it, that's when Shawn Spears gets the victory. And then it's going to mean so much more because it's like he has all this stuff behind him.
And then what do you do with Arn? What are you doing with Arn Anderson? What's his angle?
I think that's what we're going to see on TV. Now, Arn, I think, is working backstage for him. Has the history with Tully, has the history with, obviously, with Dusty Rhodes.
Which begs the question that I've seen. Does this mean that Flair might come to AEW?
Well, since he's suing the WWE right now for the man, maybe.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to see Flair anywhere else. You're just not. I don't think you're going to see him anywhere else. But those other guys, I don't know. I don't know the entire. I mean, I know the history between the Four Horsemen and Dusty Rhodes. Apparently, Tully has a lot. because I guess he wrestled Dusty more than any of them.
Okay.
So there's something there that we're gonna get backstory for, I'm sure.
I think the hardest part about that entire possibility is the fact that TNT has already explicitly said they don't want any more unprotected chair shots on the show. So how are you going to pull that off? There's got to be some careful editing or things like that going into talking about how this feud and how these things are going on.
Well, yeah, you can talk about something that's already happened. You just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And it wasn't meant to happen the first time. It was supposed to.
Right.
It was an accident. It just
right.
happened. But in that accident, however it was supposed to have gone down.
Talking about the blood.
Shawn Spears. Yeah. You made Shawn Spears with that chair shot, unintentional or not.
Yeah.
Well, it was unintentional, but you made him with that chair shot. They did it right. It could have just been like the chair gimmick like it was supposed to, and it was no big deal. But instead, it was like, they played off the whole fact that he's bleeding a lot and he has to get stitches or staples.
Mm-hmm.
That could be for him what Nia Jax hitting Becky was for her. I mean, that totally, transformed that character to something, huge, and they could probably do the same thing.
That visual of Becky standing in the crowd with her nose bleeding and just her hands up, like what?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's already iconic. That's a modern, iconic visual. So I think you're right. I think it's just going to lead to something, but that's how I see it going. When he wins, and he will, it's going to be big. Maybe at that point the title's involved, because that's something that could go down, for a little bit.
As early as November.
Yeah.
Would you say that when he wins, it'll be a perfect 10?
Yep. It'll be perfection now. It's perfection.
Perfection.
Yeah,
perfect. It's like that movie where 7 was in the title and it was the number 7 in the thing.
What's in the box? Everybody's. You can't tell me this wasn't your favorite match of the night. Everybody's. The Lucha Brothers.
This hands down.
The Young Bucks.
Yeah, it was
for the last time on AEW.
Yeah, it was my favorite match. Wait, why?
Yeah, go for it. Why?
No, it's the last match for the AAA titles in AEW.
Oh yeah, I heard that too. But they're not going to mention the titles anymest. So why was it your favorite match?
Just great, man. Back and forth, a lot of action, great spots. The best spot of the night to me was that slingshot by Phoenix through the A-frame of the ladder to hit the Mexican Destroyer.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
That was just the angle and the timing and everything you had to do to put that together was amazing.
And he went in there banged up.
Yeah.
Phoenix was already banged up because he got hurt in a match a couple of days before.
Yeah, they thought he had broken something.
A week before? Yeah, it was rumored he had broken his leg. It turned out not to be true. Mm-hmm. There were a bunch of spots in that match that were fantastic. The top of the ladder, Phoenix and I think it was Matt. On top of the ladder. No, maybe it was Nick. I think it was Nick. Both on top of the ladder, look down at their opponent down on the table, and at the same time pull off the frog splash.
Yeah.
Like that was fantastic.
And you mentioned the little homage to Eddie Guerrero on that one.
Yeah. Did you catch that, Anthony?
Oh.
The little homage to
no,
Eddie Guerrero?
I don't think I did.
Yeah, Phoenix did that little shimmy shake.
Oh.
A little Latino heat.
Yeah, you were talking about how you wanted to watch that other match again. This is the match I wouldn't mind watching again.
I think it needs to be watched.
This match was just amazing. I mean, I know it's cliche, but it's it's up there with some of those great TLC matches.
Mm-hmm.
Hardy's and Edge and Christian, Dudley's, Dudley matches in ECW, Sabu and whoever he felt like tagging up with. Just everything in there, and just there was several spots in the back of my head. I could hear Joey Styles in the back of my head.
Oh my God!
Yeah, exactly. Several spots. I mean, yeah, in that other match there was a couple times, but this match I felt like Joey Styles was in my head over and over again. And it was. I can't even pick out spots. There was just so many amazing ones that basically like a pile driver off of a flip pile driver onto
the destroyer onto the table.
That was crazy, just all kinds of crazy bumps that just take me back to other great matches, and yeah, it was awesome.
Oh,
And
the
they
sharpshooter crossface
Oh yeah,
through
under
the ladder.
Yeah.
Yes.
Another one that I thought of this was an accident, but this was Nick. When he got pushed off the ladder at one point, his feet he tripped up on the rope. Did you catch that?
Yeah, and
He
then
tripped
when
up on the rope going down, and he went through the table, but he didn't really go through with his back. He went through with his side, like his shoulder.
Yeah, and
So
I
that's
think
just
he
kinda
was
what went
supposed to
through.
go through both tables, but he only went through the first table,
Because
basically
he
with
got
his
stuck. He tripped.
yeah, basically with his face.
I think he got cut. Actually.
He
I think
did,
might
he
have got
did,
cut in
because
that.
he basically got wrapped up in that plastic that goes around the outside of the table, and I think that plastic cut him. You were talking about getting paper cuts from plastic. I think he got the biggest paper cut ever from that plastic. And
I remember that.
because they showed a couple replays of it, and you can see his face all up in the plastic.
Yeah, I vividly remember that actually because I saw it happen and I was like, ooh, like that could have ended like really bad.
Right,
'Cause
right.
He tripped on the thing. The other one, which I told Rick was a great spot, was when they pulled Pentagon's mask off.
Oh yeah.
Like on top of the ladder, like going back and forth. All of a sudden, pull off his mask, and it's like that's gonna end things real quick. And then Phoenix jumped at him from the corner, and it was Matt super kicked him like from the ladder.
Right.
That ended the thing. I was like, whoa, that was a turnaround, a quick like little thing. But I thought pulling off the mask was great because that's one way to all of a sudden like stop your momentum. And obviously I knew it was going to happen, and he was prepared for it because even like the referees helped him put the mask back on. So obviously he took it off and threw it outside to the two refs that were standing there, which you didn't see, but I can only assume that's what it was because the next time we saw Pentagon, he had the mask on again.
Yeah, it
crawled
was
out to the outside.
super quick.
Yeah, holding his face, of course, and then all of a sudden, like less than a minute later, he's back with Phoenix trying to put him through a table that they had set up. But
speaking of masks,
yeah, speaking of masks, that's where we were going. So the end saw the debut of not LAX because you can't use LAX, Santana and Ortiz.
Well, the funny part is, I want to say it was Golden Boy. As soon as they came out, he didn't use the term LAX. He called them La Boricuas.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't use that either.
You can't use that either. Yeah, that's a WWE trademark.
Was that Savio Vega's
Savio Vega's
stable?
Crew. Yeah, it was in the gang wars of WWF back in the. Remember, everybody for a while had a stable. That's what it was. It was basically you were watching gang wars on WWF on Raw. Is what you were doing. We knew actually a few weeks ago that their contracts with Impact were over. They officially said bye. I know there was interest in WWE. WWE was interested in it, but I think they made the smart move. As a tag team, they made the smart move.
They
did.
There. And they had some great matches with the Lucha Brothers again during that time frame. So.
Yeah, they had great matches with the Lucha Brothers when they were both in Impact. So that. Hey, I think it's going to be pretty good. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, this says the Lucha Bros defeated LAX in January of this year to
the titles went back and forth a
Impact.
couple of times.
Yeah. And then they says they reclaimed them in April and then lost them in July.
Yeah, and they were all good matches.
But
Conan was involved.
I just going to say it's funny how you mentioned Conan because he was obviously the leader of the group apparently. So
yeah.
It was interesting how you had mentioned him earlier.
Yeah, but those guys are going to do well there. All of that to say you can't use Boricuas.
Yeah,
right.
Because that name was taken. But
so they're probably going to be. Are they going to come up with a new name? Or are they going to be just Santana and Ortiz?
They had a name before they went to Impact.
Proud and Powerful.
It was something weird.
PNP, Proud and Powerful. I don't even know. EYFBO.
That EYFBO, and I have no idea what it stands for. I think they did time in CZW, Rick.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh yeah, it does say they were CZW World Tag Team Championship once.
Yeah, I don't know what that means though. I actually tried looking that up the other day because I saw it, and I was like, I don't know what that means. In their defense with Boricuas, that's a Puerto Rican way to say dude, for the most part. SA, it's their version of it. So yeah, but you're gonna get too many comparisons to like you can't use that name, especially since we know WWE's declaring war on AEW. So they're not gonna use that.
Right.
But they're gonna need a new name, or just be Santana and Ortiz, which would work. I don't think you necessarily need a name in this day and age. But
okay, EYFBO stands for entertaining your fucking balls off.
Okay. How did I not find that the other day? I couldn't find that.
It's definitely not on Wikipedia.
No, I was looking at some videos or something. I don't remember what I was looking at, but that's cool. That's actually funny, but I don't think they're going to use that either. I don't think TNT's going to let that fly.
No.
So we'll probably start Santana and Ortiz for now. All right. Anything else about the lucha?
No, just it was. I want to watch that match again.
Yeah, I kind of do too now. Rick, what were you gonna say? Something? Rick, were you gonna say something?
Let's move on.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. It's something we can spend hours on, but let's move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just the name of the match is really cool too.
Escalera de la Muerte.
Yeah. Thank you for saying it, so I don't have to try and butcher it.
Oh, I probably butchered it myself. I don't have the correct pronunciation. Ladder of Death. The championship match. So some debate back and forth whether that should have been the main event or the tag team match because of all the spots. What do you think? Should it have been the Jericho match was the main event?
After that,
tag match.
I think the crowning of the first world champion needs to be your main event. But after that, such a crazy high spot match, it's really hard to top it, or it's really hard to. I mean, Jericho's 48 and he's still in great shape, but he's not going to move around like those guys.
No, not at all.
So
no, which is why that
you're going to
match
have a more slow-paced
top
match.
3 for me. So, I agree. I mean, maybe they didn't know how high spot and how. I mean, they knew that it was going to be high spot, but I mean, maybe they just didn't know how great that match was going to be.
No, man,
and
come on. Everybody knew
I
how
don't
great
know.
that
I'm just
match
trying
was
to make
gonna be.
excuses.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, yeah. Like you said, I think they had to make the championship the main event, and they were just going to eat crow on the fact that it was going to be, not as exciting.
Okay, so little tidbit. I'm pretty sure you guys didn't know, again, from Jericho's podcast, because he talked about all this. I mean, he'd obviously agree with you. The championship match has to be last because it's a championship match. It's the world title. It's the first time, so that lends, Rick, you're right, precedence to that because it's the first time. And the referee.
Right.
The referee. Handpicked by Jericho.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
He handpicked her. He said, I want Audrey to be, is it Aubrey or Audrey? I can't remember. To be the referee. He said because, well, he actually thinks she's the best ref that they have. She's like, they're all good, but I like her style. So I wanted her to be the ref for that because I like her style, and I wanted it to be the first female ref in a main event like that. So that's what he went with. Did you catch the spot with her? He actually did the spot with her where he kind of shoved her a little bit and she got in his face.
Oh,
and
yeah.
She backed up.
That was great.
Yeah. Now to her credit, I guess, she went in and were her nails done? I wanted to say her nails were done and lipstick, and that was done on purpose. Like she had made sure that she had on lipstick that stood out, and I want to say her nails too, but for sure the lipstick to play up like this is a woman, doing this, which I thought was kind of cool too. A little detail just kind of add in there, like, yeah, this is something that's huge, and no one, I like how I don't even think about it. Somebody told me that, and it was just like, oh, that's cool, yeah, you know what I mean? I don't even think about it anymore. And I think I told Anthony this a while back. I don't even look at women's wrestling as women's wrestling anymore. I just look at it as wrestling.
I wish they would look at it like that.
Yeah, but I just look at it as like it's a match, and it doesn't matter who's in it. I'm gonna be entertained either way. So I thought that was cool. But I mean, the match itself. What did you guys think?
I mean, it was fine.
I thought it was like, yeah, exactly. It was fine after that. After the last match, it felt slow. But I mean,
I feel like
back and forth.
I'm sorry. Say that again, Rick. I missed it. I just
said there was a lot of back and forth.
Okay, Anthony, go ahead, man.
I mean, it was a traditionally scripted championship match, as if Jericho was already the champion and he was going to retain. That's pretty much how it's scripted out to me. To like any old matches like that, which is kind of what made it boring after the other one. I feel like that would be a match. Like if it had been a normal match where Jericho was retaining, that match might have been probably would have been before the Cody Spears match.
And we've seen WWE do that.
That's what I mean, and that's exactly why I say that, because it is the type of thing that they would have done, and that's how you usually know that the title's going to be retained or something like that, because most of the time when it is earlier in the card like that, it is a retain. So I could see that's how the match flowed, was a match that should have been earlier in the card. But yeah, the importance of it, unfortunately, made it need to be where it is. if we had watched it without having watched the other one first, we might have been more entertained by the match. But otherwise, it just falls flat.
Yeah, and it sucks because it wasn't a bad match.
No, it wasn't.
I mean,
Jericho always puts on a great show.
Oh yeah,
No.
You got to see Hangman, give him a receipt when he, accidental it looked like, but when that elbow he threw that cut Jericho open, because Jericho was bleeding actually quite a bit, and if you see pictures of him now, he's got stitches in that spot, so definitely kind of that was cool. The part where he actually started,
That surprised me. That's not something you see very often with Jericho.
What, the stitches?
Just being busted open.
Oh yeah, and it was just a total. Well, he called it a receipt because he kicked Hangman in the last whatever interaction they had, and he made Hangman, have to get stitches and bleed, and so we know what a receipt is, right? A receipt is usually intentional.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, when you do a receipt, it's usually intentional, but whether it was or not, it led to it. He's really trying to go all out for this match. That was cool. Mm-hmm. Just a little touch I thought was kind of neat was when he took his arm, wrapped it around the guardrail in front of his parents. Like that was kind of cool, and that was kind of funny. And it was just weird that he was like, I'm working this arm, make it so he can't, punch or do whatever. That was cool. Hangman does a spot where he does a shooting star press running off the apron onto a guy that's on the floor, and you got a code breaker out of that. Did you catch that?
Yes, I saw that.
So that was kind of cool. The defense to that move was a code breaker, which was kind of cool. That little flip Hangman does from the outside into the lariat is always a cool looking move. What's the name of his move where he has the guy behind him and he does like basically a tombstone like behind your back? The dead shot or the dead eye?
Dead eye.
Yeah.
The dead eye.
That's a cool looking move.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool looking move that looks actually safe. Because if you look at the guy's head, it's nowhere near touching the mat, but it looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think about who they put the title on?
I think it was necessary.
What do you think, Anthony?
It was one of those things.
I mean, it's the same as your whole thing about going in, WWE SmackDown going into Fox with Brock Lesnar. You got to go into a TV deal on TNT with somebody who's a name, and there's no bigger name than as far as that goes than Jericho. So, I mean, it's Jericho. Yeah. That's all there is to say about it. I mean, Jericho now is the first wrestler to be WCW, WWE, World Heavyweight, AEW, and then if you want to throw in the undisputed championship,
absolutely you should.
And
throw IWGP in there too.
Yeah. So I mean, what more can you say about Jericho? So it makes total sense.
I agree with you for the same reason I said about Shawn Spears. You have to build Adam Page because as you go in, the TV is important. Jericho's a name. Whether or not you want to admit it, this company owes a lot to the fact that it's Chris Jericho because he's such a name. You're going to take him. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be the face of the company, but he's the name of the company, and that lends like legitimacy to it. It lends a lot of legitimacy to it. So you build Adam Page to be like this guy because that's obvious. That's who they want to build. Your first big hero is going to be, Adam Page. He's going to eventually get that title, but it has to be, he has to be built because no one, we do, but no one knows him. So
it needs to feel natural.
Yeah. He needs to build it. It needs to grow organically. He needs to be the homegrown star, which, I think he will be in time, but it was right. Jericho, I think he talked about this too. He said it could have gone either way. He's like, I would have been fine with it either way. Like if he wanted to do that, fine. He's like, but, thinking at it from a storyline standpoint, it's like you got to build him.
Exactly.
He would have had no problem doing the job, but you got to build the guy.
But I have to say, thank you, Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
Somebody has to say it aloud.
He deserved a little bit of the bubbly. That was so funny, man. That was so funny.
Did you see the Lou Bega Mambo No. 5 mashup?
Wait, no.
Where he goes a little bit of the bubbly. We're talking about a little bit of the bubbly. So he'll go a little bit of the bubbly, and then he's like, on my side.
That's horrible.
Lou Bega Mambo No. 5, but instead of the girls, it's a little bit of bubbly.
That's funny.
It was terrible, but funny.
So I'll have to check that out. That actually sounds kind of interesting, kind of funny. Coming out of this, we got a couple of weeks until. Do we have a name for the TV show? Was it Wednesday Night Dynamite?
AEW on TNT.
Exactly.
AEW on TNT.
Yeah, that's what it says. AEW on TNT.
That's the Instagram handle.
Okay. Until AEW on TNT. We have a few weeks to that, a lot of build-up. It's going to get interesting in the next couple of months, Rick. Have you heard somebody's contract in ROH runs up in November?
Yes, I know that, which is right around the time of their next pay-per-view.
Right. That should be very interesting. Anthony, do you know who Marty Scurll is?
The name sounds familiar, maybe from something.
Marty Scurll is the other part
They call him the
villain.
villain?
Yeah, they call him the villain. He's the Englishman that wears the gas mask, that one that looks like has the big beak on it, and he carries around an umbrella. Super, super entertaining. He's in ROH right now. He is a part of the Elite, but he's the one whose contract didn't end with everybody else's. So he's been there, and he becomes a free agent in November, and everybody's like, man, all this guy's best friends are executive vice presidents in AEW. We pretty much know where he's going to end up. And it should be pretty interesting there to get some. Eventually, you're going to see some kind of Elite reunion on TV. But I have no doubt Marty Scurll's going to end up there. And he's hugely entertaining. So I'm looking forward to that too. Because he's the villain, Rick.
Yeah. Just going, exactly. And just going into this, my only hope, my only concern is that Cody being, the executive vice president doesn't become Jeff Jarrett. Keep putting the title on himself.
Oh yeah, no. I think Cody's smarter than that.
That's my biggest fear.
I think Cody's at a point right now.
But
he doesn't need a title right now. I mean, you can't deny the fact that he's eventually going to win it, but he doesn't need it. And if you can get to that point where you don't need a title, then that's how you know you're over. You don't even need a title.
I think if that could easily have happened if it wasn't for Jericho, and then if it wasn't for Moxley. With those two, you have two definite people that are talents that you can get on there in their names. And then along with these newer guys, obviously, yeah, like you said, he's probably going to get it eventually, but I don't think he has the same kind of, he's no Jarrett.
Yeah,
I don't think he's never come across as being that arrogant. Whereas obviously Jarrett, that was his character. That's who he is in real life. So.
Yeah, no, Cody's a businessman. I think he's going to end up doing what's going to be best for business.
Mm-hmm.
You can't deny he's over. He has to get the wins, but I think he's going to do always what's best for business. Hey, any last comments? Ran through the card overall. I was entertained. I thought it was pretty good.
It was fun. It's a fun little event.
How long was the damn thing? Was it coming close to 5 hours?
It was pushing there. The pre-show started at 4. The main show started at 5, and it was almost 9 o'clock before it ended. Okay, if I look on Bleacher Report, it's the main card. It gives 233 minutes. So that's not quite 4 hours.
I mean, I watched it in pieces. I didn't watch the whole thing all in one sitting.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch any of the pre or after, and it was, I think, 4 hours, because each of the 4 sections of the actual card
about an hour.
Were an hour each, which is the only. It worked out except for the ladies match, which got cut in half, but it kind of worked out for the rest of them.
So I keep going back to Jericho because he makes a lot of points because he knows this stuff. Obviously, he's been doing this for almost 30 years, but I don't know if you can keep doing stuff this long. You know what I mean? WWE always gets criticized for how long the pay-per-views are. Good God, WrestleMania is like almost 12 hours long. You can't do that, and then you're gonna once you hit TV, you're gonna be confined. These guys are none of these matches are less than 11 minutes that were on this card this night, but you get on TV and you're gonna have 6-7 minute matches.
Yeah, but you have to remember that they're trying to build up story before they get on TV, and it's hard to do when you're not on TV. So they're building up story between the two major pay-per-views. You're building up story at Fyter Fest. You're building up story on the Young Bucks YouTube channel, all that stuff. But there's only so much you can do, and you have to get it in on what they know people are going to watch, which are the major pay-per-views, which is why you have so much story that's being built into these in so many matches. But in the future, they won't have to do that because they will have the TV then they only really need to do just the extreme stuff on pay-per-view.
Yeah, the go-home match.
Right, exactly.
And I don't disagree with you. It's just these guys are getting used to working this lengthy matches, and all of a sudden be like, okay, man, you guys got to go out there and you got 6 minutes. You know, you can't get all those spots in, 6 minutes. It's got to be, you got to hit what you need to hit, and you need to continue your story. So you get to the pay-per-view where you can have the longer, matches. Because it seemed weird to me too that like MJF didn't have a match on the card, and then I realized, oh well, he's with Cody. You know what I mean? So and then again, I've talked about this before. They got a big roster already. They already got a lot of guys.
Mm-hmm.
How are you gonna fit them in? Thank goodness it's 2 hours of TV, but you got a lot of guys to try to fit in to get something in, and not everybody's gonna be on every week. It's just kind of the way that it's gonna be.
And they've admitted that.
Well, that they're not everybody's gonna be on every week.
Mm-hmm.
I think I remember something about that. So, yeah, you got to see what they're going to do. To counter that, I saw today that WWE said, because they started in a couple of weeks on USA, and the first hour is going to be on USA. NXT is going to 2 hours. The first hour is going to be on USA, and the second hour is going to stream live on the WWE Network. Yeah, is that how? I don't know if that's how they're fitting in the 2 hours.
I didn't know that.
How do you?
Or is it going to be
that 2 hours? That doesn't make sense to me.
So is it only 1 hour is going to be on USA, or USA is going to have both hours, and the second hour is going to also stream on the WWE Network?
Okay, so on September 18th and 25th, the first hour of NXT will air live on USA Network at 8/7 Central, and the second hour will stream live at 9/8 Central on the WWE Network. The second hour will be then immediately available on demand viewing on the WWE Network. Does that mean what I think it means? You're only going to show 1 hour on TV?
I can't figure that out.
Is it just those 2 nights? Because if you're directly combating AEW, and I realize they do have 2-3 weeks to get that straightened out. Maybe it's just programming already, pre-programmed stuff already in that time period. But if you're planning to combat a 2-hour show with a lot of hype behind it, you can't deliver an hour and then hope everybody's going to transfer over to the network. You can't do that because the whole reason for all this stuff being on TV is so you catch the viewer who's not watching, or just the, what do they call them when it's not a hardcore fan? Just the
casual.
The casual viewer. So that's kind of that's interesting to me. I don't know what they're trying to do there, and I don't know if it was just for those 2 nights or if it's going to be that's the way that it's going to be.
Or is it trying to get WWE Network buys?
Did you see the countdown to All Out that was on TNT the night before on Friday night?
Yeah, I watched it on demand actually, but yeah, I saw it.
Okay, yeah, because I actually happened to just see it while it was live. Uh-huh. And did you see it averaged 390,000 viewers?
Which is more than Impact's been getting for the past 10 years.
Yeah, that is.
And that was just basically a package show. No live wrestling, no anything. It was just basically basically what half of SmackDown is.
Yeah, that's a good number, because I think they were talking about they would be happy with 500,000 viewers. If you can get that for just a package show,
right?
That means there's some potential there. All right, gentlemen, any last thoughts?
I just wanted to back up real quick. The next after the premiere of AEW on TNT, the next pay-per-view is Full Gear on November 9th. I don't know if we had talked about that. And
we mentioned a few matches on the card.
Yeah, apparently there's only 2 matches so far: the Moxley Omega and Jericho versus Cody for the championship. Apparently.
Oh yeah, I did see that a little while ago. I saw Cody post something about that.
So that's just right into that, I guess. I don't know. Maybe Cody wins and it makes us all liars from our conversation earlier. So I don't know.
All right, gentlemen. Anything else? I think we about covered everything we wanted to cover.
No, that's it. Just look forward to what they got in store for TV.
Sounds good. Actually, I think the next time we talk, what's coming up on WWE?
Clash of Champions. Everything leading to that, I guess.
Yeah, probably.
We'll know who the King of the Ring is.
Yeah, we'll probably talk after Clash of Champions. We'll see what's going on there. And then the one after that will be interesting because that's the one where we'll have seen NXT and AEW go head to head. That'll be interesting. All right. I think that does it for tonight then.
Cool.
All right, man.
We'll catch you here in a couple of weeks. We'll probably talk about Clash of Champions, and I'll see you both at separate times here anyway as we do other stuff off of this podcast. Extraordinary Culture is going to meet pretty soon, and I'm sure I'll have some conversations with Anthony about a bunch of different stuff coming up anyway. And he's always on his podcast not talking about thermal detonators. Or not, or Christmas bulbs as we called them at my house. Or Rick, you were there.
Yeah.
We called them Christmas bulbs because that's what it looks like. All right, man. You guys got anything else? I think we're done.
All right, then we'll catch you later.
All right, guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Kayfabe Culture is part of the Extraordinary Culture podcast universe. You can email us at exocast@yahoo.com. We're also on social media. You can find us on Instagram at exoculture. We're on Facebook at exocult. We're on Twitter at exocultcast. You can listen to Extraordinary Culture or Kayfabe Culture on Podomatic, iTunes, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify. You can YouTube Extraordinary Culture Podcast, or you can ask your smart home device to play the Extraordinary Culture Podcast.
No, don't do this. Enough is enough.